Okay. See, is it live from this end? It is. There we go. There we go. Live here. Let me check my gold trade actually quickly. Oh, shit. Oh, wait, that's actually. Oof. That's why I wanted to raise it. That's why I want to raise it. Ah. I was looking for the. Wasn't looking at the time. I have to monitor this. We're already in the cell. Already in the cell. We might be going up to that wick. We'll have to see. The monitor there. I'll monitor gold. I just didn't like this weak rejection off of gold. That's why. We'll see. We'll see. I'll have to monitor gold. I already entered me in the trade though. I wanted to move it and readjust it. Actually, I wanted to cancel it and I forgot. Yeah, we've been open for some time. We're gonna see how it plays out then. If we lose, we lose. If not, all good. There we go. Oh, we're at 17 viewers. Damn. Hold up. Give me 1 second. Let me lock in. Let me pull up my stuff. Let me pull it up. Let's go. Everything's fine here, right? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. And yeah, no, we are gonna look at the M2 supply. We are gonna look at the M2 supply. Let me look at my gold trade. Yeah, I have to see how the 4-hour closes. We have 2 hours until the 4-hour closes. Just gonna monitor that on the side. All right. Yeah, we're gonna go over M2, the global liquidity. All right, it has been reliable up until recent times, right? Up until recent times. Let's remove some of the drawings. All right, let's go. Guys, I'll look at altcoins later. Yeah, look at altcoins later. All right, listen. So yeah, we can see we are still bullish structure, right? We are still bullish structure when it comes to Bitcoin. We have been, you know, we called it out here, right? We called it out here that we believed this was going to be the start, and then yeah, we see we held for many days, and of course we have been kind of expanding ever since. In terms of the global liquidity index, all right, if I actually go to the weekly, maybe I'll just remove. Oh, maybe I'll just actually remove that one. It was following, right? It was following. It was following. 91 days was perfect, right? It was literally perfect right before it started to sell off. The bottom was perfect. You know, even when we got the short-term top, right? This was great. 91 days. The bottom was, you know, the sell candle was great. Then of course we expected for there to be manipulation to the downside. It did happen, right? It did happen. It happened. And now, you know, we had this tippy top right over here. Boom, boom. Yeah, this was I thought this was going to pump a little bit harder. Of course, like I said, the manipulation and sweeping all the liquidity, it did happen. And then we have this top, which is right now, but it does seem like we are struggling, right? It does seem like we are struggling, which is a little bit annoying, right? It is a little bit annoying. We do have this type of reversal candle. We do have multiple gaps, right? That's the issue. That is one of the biggest issues. If we look right here at around the $104,500, there's actually a gap over there, because if we go and look at something like the futures, right, the gap is right here. right? Gap right here. Futures price is a little bit different, but that's when we compare it to this, the structure, that was the structure. So it's a little annoying. We also do technically have a gap at 92,000. Now, I would not want to go down to 92,000 as, oh, everything would just take so long, right? Everything would take so long. Yeah, it would be reverse head and shoulders, right? Because we would have, you know, shoulder number one, we would have the head, but then we would have another shoulder, and it's like, yeah, it is an extremely bullish, you know, type of scenario, and it's very well for fundamentals, but it's like it would just take so long. And not only that, but the M2 money supply, right, the way we have been matching, right, the way we have been matching, it would kind of, you know, be a little bit of an issue, right? It would be an issue because we would no longer be necessarily following the M2 global money supply, which then, you know, I still believe in technical analysis and such. And ultimately, you know, I know Bitcoin has to break structure, you know, start going sideways, and then Bitcoin dominance to, you know, fall off a cliff. I know all that has to happen for our altcoin season, but I would really like to see Bitcoin ultimately before altcoin season kind of have a quick rally to like 120 to maybe 140K within a few, you know, short months. I'm talking about like, you know, by the time July was happening, right? According to global liquidity, we could have been already at 140K by mid-July, but now it's like we don't know if it's going to happen. And it's not that Bitcoin can't necessarily hit even 140K this cycle. It's more so, you know, how long are things going to take? Because I know a lot of us have altcoins. I know a lot of us have been accumulating altcoins. So it's kind of just a little frustrating to be waiting. I know some of us just want to cash out, you know, buy whatever we want to buy, live life, financial freedom, right? But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. This is technically a daily order block right here too. So would be a good bounce off to fill the gap and then go higher. But like I said, based off of the global liquidity index, it wouldn't be as valid anymore, right? Because we did expect to go to roughly 120K like by this pump, which already happened. Now we're at this one. And if we don't really, you know, pump to 120K by next week and we see global liquidity dip for a final time, then this could really indicate that, yeah, we're still going to linger around here for a little bit. And then mid-July, we might pump to 120K, 130K, right? By mid-July. We also have to see that, you know, global liquidity, it is slowing down a little bit, right? It is slowing down a little bit. We do want this thing to kind of just take off, right? Obviously, this was kind of an exception, but the way 2020 global liquidity went, I mean, it was beautiful, right? If we just saw this on the graphs for a couple of weeks, I mean, it would be beautiful for Bitcoin, for altcoin season, for absolutely everything, right? Let's see what you guys are saying. Bloodbath Day, when do you anticipate a reversal? Like I said, we are technically still bullish, but we do have some gaps, which is annoying. For me, the timing is not that relevant. I do it more for you guys, right? We were just basing the timing off of global liquidity, right? In terms of what we expected, like I said, already played out, the manipulation, the reversal. Now all this is just kind of, you know, it's just slowing things down, but ultimately we're still looking good, right? We are still looking good. We are still looking bullish, even if we do, you know, go back to our custom MA cross. We are still bullish on the daily. I mean, we're still bullish, extremely bullish on the weekly. I mean, we can see we have been bullish since forever, since February 2023, right? So there's no higher time frame confirmation, which I already knew based off technical analysis, but even just, you know, using this indicator that I've, you know, made my custom settings for, you know, we could see the closest I ever got to was practically like break even. And when it goes slightly under, it doesn't really mean anything because that's when you just look at the structure and the context. So yeah. This is why I hate weekend pumps, always a gap. Yeah. Yeah, weekend pumps are kind of annoying. Especially when it goes too far, because if it only gaps by like a couple $100, Monday might fill it up quickly and then we just kind of continue the process, right? But when we gap by a couple thousand, that's when it becomes concerning. The fact that we didn't fill up 92k, you know, is a little bit annoying until we start breaking out. I think once we start breaking out, that's going to be confirmation that it's just going to get filled up next cycle, right? Next cycle is where I would expect it to get filled up 92k. So that would be a zone in the future to watch for. Of course, we're very, very far away. We're not even close to completing this cycle. Oh, we are kind of close to completing this cycle, right? I still think Bitcoin probably has one more leg in it. Right, one more big leg in it, and then it's probably gonna start consolidating, and then the transfer between Bitcoin to altcoin is gonna start happening. So yeah, we'll have to see, because you know, just in terms of structure, we are, like I said, the weekly indicator shows we have been bullish, and we've always been bullish. But even just in terms of fundamentals, like this low here, we have a higher low, we have this high here, higher high, right? We just kind of want to, you know, burst to the upside, right? We just want to burst to the upside to create a very nice higher high. And then obviously we have to see how everything unfolds. I talked about it in the video before, but I'll talk about it in the stream, right? I do believe we could be possibly like somewhere here for the equivalence, right? Where we kind of broke past all-time highs. We kind of consolidated, right? We consolidated here. We consolidated here. Then we pumped up a good amount, right? Then we had good pullbacks. We had good pullbacks going from, you know, at that time, going from 41K back down to 29 was a good pullback. And then we had the final kind of rally. So that's kind of what I'm just anticipating for, like one more final push going up, you know, 20, 30, 40,000, then slowly, you know, really starting to burn out, then kind of go sideways, right? Go sideways. We have our bursts. Boom, we have our bursts, and then eventually still go a little bit up, and then we kind of just, you know, go like this. This market's trash. Nobody making money in the Trump land except Trump and his groupies. Anyone else realizing this? I mean, I don't think it would have been better. Actually, I know it wouldn't have been better under Kamala because they were anti-crypto. So if you think this is bad, then definitely under Kamala would not have been good. Hello, just joined for a bit. Hello. Got stopped out of my AI position, still got ICP and house coin position. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I remember. I don't remember the AI position. I think I didn't really look at it necessarily, but you know, ICP did have a good kind of pump from where you got in. I think you got in at what? It was tight. I remember you got in at somewhere over here, right? It was somewhere down here. We talked about it on Saturday or Sunday. I think your stop loss was like 470 and your entry was like $5, right? You had a pretty tight stop. I mean, you should be even up a good amount right now, right? If your entry was something like this, right? You should be up a decent amount right now. You just remind me of my trade. My gold trade's going in profit. Let's go. I really want a weak 4-hour candle. If we have a weak 4-hour candle, that's going to be really good. We have practically 2 hours left until we have the candle close. So we got to see how this is going. .0, like 504. Something like, I mean, it's not literally perfect, but I could just write it in manually, but something like this, right? XCN dropped 6%. You think this dip is just volatility before a rip up? Yeah, I think so. I think so. I'm still bullish. There's still, for me, zero indication of actual big reversals in terms of technicals, in terms of indicators, in terms of global news, right? There, for me, there's not that much happening. And yeah, so we're gonna look at some stuff too. Let's see. Let's see. There was some news. Right, there was a lot of actually positive news today. Let's see my gold trade. Oh, it's already kind of slowly reversing, so I have to see. I have to monitor this on the side. There was, yeah, U.S. Senate votes to advance Genius Act crypto stablecoin bill. The U.S. Senate has voted to advance a crypto stablecoin bill known as the Genius Act. The legislation is already backed by crypto industry and President Donald Trump, according to Bloomberg report. Final passage of the measure may likely come next week. Right, so we can see, I mean, there's so much bullish news. I know I don't really value news that much. Ultimately, I still believe in technical analysis, but it does not hurt. None of this hurts crypto. None of this hurts crypto. So this is what we like to see, right? Issues under the Genius Act may be expected to meet operational standards, including systems and complying fully with Bank Secrecy Act, including anti-money laundering sanctions obligations. Okay. Also read, Grok predicts what Genius Act means. Okay, so they asked AI. So very short article, right? We can see what the Senate banking chair, Tim Scott, has told Bloomberg he expects to hold a hearing on a broad crypto regulation bill in July, but does not anticipate passing it in the Senate until the fall. Meanwhile, Senate. I mean, yeah. Also, no, there's also news. Let's see. I wonder if it's live. Let's see, is this it? Let's see. Now we're only gonna test this just for literally a second. But I'm just curious because sometimes I do want to cover news in general on the channel a little bit more frequently. I know a lot of people do like the news. Let's see. So just like elevator music while this is showing.
Is there anything, I know that you really orient yourself to the future. Is there anything about the past that you wish now? That
we're at 720. So Bloomberg Originals.
Or something that you didn't say?
No, I'd say my only
I don't think I do want to start streaming. I do want to start streaming when Jerome Powell talks, right? When there's like Federal Reserve news. Right? When there's like a lot of big things happening. Oh, we can see, right? There's actually two main things here. There we go. Oh wait, no, this is about deals. Let's see this.
That includes Americans who use President, a significant number of Americans are engaging with cryptocurrency. That includes Americans who use stable coins.
I don't think there's that many people engaging low key. I haven't really heard that many like average people talk about crypto yet. I haven't seen it that much on the news like the way when it's all-time euphoria.
Easy payments with the speed and security of the blockchain and the stability and usability of the dollar bill. There are roughly $250 billion of them now in circulation. Traditional financial institutions are said to be considering getting into the stablecoin business. And companies like Uber and Airbnb are reportedly exploring integrating them into their businesses. This president is clear that cryptocurrency is here to stay, and it's time that we bring it into the mainstream. Passing the Genius Act is a good first step. The Genius Act would provide a clear regulatory framework for stablecoins. It would ensure Americans can trust who they're doing business with when they purchase stablecoins, allowing the American people to exercise financial freedom with confidence. The
So,
Genius
Catchy,
Act would
I'll
also
answer your
protect
question in a
against threats
second.
to our national security and from criminal activity. It would require stablecoin issuers to uphold the same standards as other financial institutions to monitor and report suspicious activity, comply with U.S. sanctions, and block.
So here's the deal. Also, before I talk, thank you everyone for the comments. Thank you for the engagements. Thank you for the reactions, and thank you for the likes. Haha, look at these hearts getting spammed. Doesn't the market get affected by the news because people get scared and sell? Sometimes, but for me, news is just an excuse to move the markets. Like the S&P 500, right? S&P 500. I mean, that thing just, for me, literally retested like its previous highs. Like, that's just the way I saw it, right? It just retested its previous highs. So it wasn't anything for me. Like, that's why, like, you know, tariff this, tariff that, news this, news that. Ultimately, I don't really care like too much. Obviously, like, I still care about certain news, and yeah, certain news could cause like short-term dips and etc., which is important for me because I do trade, right? So some of this news is important. If I know there could be a potential you know, week that's going to be shorting, then I'm going to be looking for sells, even if we are overall bullish, right? But like this big crash for me was just more of a retest, because I believe this pullback was just ultimately so they could just start expanding and pumping these markets. You have to remember that investors and just the way the world works, they don't really want to be selling. Like, they don't really want to be selling. Right? They don't really want to be selling. And if there's always some type of news or excuse to just repump the markets, they're always going to do that more than they are going to, you know, try to sell. You also have to remember that for me, the way I see it's like this was just done on purpose, just so they could get this step out the way. Like, this correction was just done so they could just get out, of the way, and just so they can start pumping the markets again. They, like, for me, the markets have been speeding up a lot over these last couple of years of me being in them, and I just believe the market makers, the people in charge, just simply do not care anymore, right? Because it's not like your average person is going to understand or care anyways. They're just going to be like, oh, news says this is how it is, right? But when you look at the actual technical analysis, it's just like, well, for me, they just want to get to certain zones quickly just so they can recover and then just continue what they're doing. And overall, just in terms of technical analysis, like this monthly candle, not only is it a huge rejection going on top of a, you know, very big top, but it's also a doji candle, right? So there's just so much bullish confirmation that I don't really think any big news is gonna hinder the markets at all, right? Also the global liquidity, and also I think they're gonna do a big bubble before the markets officially crash. Boom, 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 boom. Bro, what was your top for Bitcoin this cycle? What is it? I don't know. I don't have a Bitcoin top. I think I just like, I said around like 150K, I think. I think it was around 150K, but I'm not dying by any number. For me, I'm just going off of the analysis I see. So for me, it's one of those mentalities. It goes as high as it goes, and then if I see reversal signs, then that, you know, that's when we're gonna have to start cashing out. Like, predictions are nice, but predictions are only a prediction in the day, and there's certain, you know, obviously indicators and news and everything you could used to have a certain prediction, but for me, that doesn't really hold that much value. Altcoin dead? Yeah, altcoins are kind of dead. But I mean, there's, like I said, altcoins will not really pump heavily until Bitcoin dominance breaks. And I'm just really kind of waiting. What I personally want is just like a nice, quick few weeks spike up and then crash and a few weeks spike down. And that just to indicate that altcoin season is going to be starting. I do believe we are much closer than further away, right? Even just like if we go to something like ICP, right? ICP is actually creating very, very similar structure to what it was doing before it had a huge expansion, right? If we get rid of the indicator, go to something like here, you see one top, two top, broke through a support, kind of tried holding it, fell lower. And then we kind of had the same thing, one top, two top, right? We fell through the support, right? We tried kind of holding it, and then we went lower. So for me, this is just indicating that the same thing is just playing out, and is just a handful of weeks away before we start getting consistent bursts, right? But this time it's going to be bigger because we can see, right? ICP was at $8. It was in the zone up to $8, going back down to $3, and then when it went from $3, it bursted up to 21. But this time I expect things to be different. I expect things to kind of start bursting and pumping the way that they're going to pump, create new highs, probably slow down a little bit, but this time not do a full type of cycle retracement. And then that's when the official altcoin season starts happening, and then boom, 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 right? Massive pumps. Nah, there's no reason why I would see ICP crash into oblivion. ICP crashes, then everything's gonna crash. But there's literally no technical data that suggests ICP will be crashing to oblivion. Majority of people in this market have weak minds. I mean, yeah, a lot of people's psychology is bad. The thing is, your guys, psychology, you can only judge yourself, but it may be kind of like whatever, but you still got to remember you're still doing a lot better than your average person, because your average person is going to be coming in at the end of the cycle, right? Near the end of the cycle, after everything has pumped, right? After everything has happened, the consolidation, the ups and downs. And then when the pump starts happening, they're going to come in late. They're going to be up a couple percent. They might be up 2 times even, depending how, late to get in. But before you know it, those gains are quickly going to dissipate. Their fun in these markets are going to last very, very short. And unless they're here for, like I said, depending where they get in, like let's say they get in the second week of altcoin season, so they have like 2 weeks left of pumps, like they might get, let's say 30%, 40% profit, 50% profit on their position. And they might think, whoa, they're the king, 50%. Banks only give like 2% a year. The S&P 500 only gives around 7% a year. And it's just like, they might think they're the kings because, they're up 50% in 2 weeks. But they might not realize that, they're going to get wrecked. And like I said, a lot of people have self-destructive mentality. They see those profits go away. They just hope and pray. Then they're like, oh, please come back, please come back. And then if it does come back, most likely they still won't take it because they think it's going to go higher. And eventually just become a bag holder and then say crypto's a scam. But yeah, a lot of people did buy. It was Bitcoin was second most overbought, around 65K. And I don't remember if it was the second time. Well, it had to be the second time. Well, it's technically 64, but I don't think it was this one. I think it was here. I'm pretty sure it was here, right? Second most overbought, literally most oversold. And then they call it a scam because they don't understand. They do the opposite. It's like saying, oh, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to lose weight, and then you eat 4,000 calories extra than you're meant to eat consistently, and then you're wondering why you're not losing weight. Right? It's like, where's the self-awareness? You know? Where's the logic? You should know if you buy high and you sell low, you're obviously going to lose money, but it's not a scam. It's just you're not understanding. I will slowly scale out starting at 135K. I will start looking for swing shorts at 140K or 45. Yeah, I do also want to attempt to short the market. I know in the private community, people have been asking, you know, if I'm going to be looking to catch reversals, potential shorts, and etc. And the answer was yes. We're going to be looking to be selling off a lot of stuff. Because it's like, what, even like, I have a funded account and stuff, but even it's like, it's my own money, leverage trading, or you just make whatever amount of money, even if you risk like 5% of those profits to try to short the market once you have certain confirmations, like you can still make a lot of money. You still make a lot of money. So I'm definitely going to be looking for that. But not based off a certain price, but based off of technical analysis. Just see. There was also one more news. So if we could, there's also something else. Let's see. Yeah, this one's 3 minutes. All right, that's fine though.
Security. The Genius Act would also protect against threats to our national security and from criminal activity. It would require stablecoin issuers to uphold the same standards as other financial institutions to monitor and report suspicious activity, comply with U.S. sanctions, and block illicit transactions. Plus, the vast majority of stablecoins are backed by the U.S. dollar, which means this bill will create demand for the U.S. dollar and U.S. treasuries, something that is good both for our national security and our fiscal house. It's yet another reason why we should want stable coins to be made in America. Mr. President, the Genius Act represents the bipartisan consensus on clear rules of the road for this new financial innovation. Today, stablecoin issuers are operating in a legal gray zone. Companies that want to follow the rules can't be sure what rules to follow. And the Biden administration didn't help matters with its numerous lawsuits, which left many U.S.-based companies contemplating moving out of the United States altogether. Mr. President, we want America to lead in financial innovation.
Answer your guys' questions in just a second.
We want to bring cryptocurrency into the mainstream, and the Genius Act will help us do that. Mr. President, it's time to pass this bill. The version of the Genius Act that we will invoke cloture on today reflects months of hard work and negotiations from members on both sides of the aisle. It's a good product that, as I said, represents the bipartisan consensus on the way forward. And I appreciate the leadership of Senators Hagerty and Lummis and Chairman Tim Scott in getting the Genius Act to this point. It's been a long haul. It began in March with a 3-hour markup in the Banking Committee, where senators considered 40 different amendments to this bill. It ultimately passed out of the committee by a vote of 18-6. Before we began floor debate, negotiations on the bill continued, and a number of changes were made to the bill, most of them to accommodate demands from Democrats, while maintaining the full-throated support of the administration. 3 weeks after the bill finally came to the floor, Mr. President, it's time to move forward and pass this legislation. I hope that we'll see another strong bipartisan vote on the Genius Act later today and in the coming days as we conclude our work. And I hope that the House will quickly take up this bill
question in a second. I'm going to say something right after this.
Who is eager to sign this legislation. Mr. President, as I said last month at the beginning of the floor process, the Genius Act will not be the last word on crypto legislation. There's more work to be done, including on market structure legislation. I know our colleagues have already begun work in that area as well. This remains a priority for many in our conference, and it is the next logical step in making the United States the crypto capital of the world. And I'm looking forward, Mr. President, to continued progress on bringing cryptocurrency into the mainstream and securing American leadership in financial innovation. Mr. President, digital assets are the future, and we're working to ensure that future is.
Yeah, so, there's going to be a lot of adoption, a lot of partnerships, a lot of regulations that are slowly going to start coming in. Now, you know, I know people don't want regulations and certain rules and this and that, but if you do want your crypto bag, especially to pump this altcoin season and for potentially for it to be the biggest, then that's what we're going to need, right? Obviously that means potentially in the future things might not pump as hard, but we would have to see and monitor that, of course. Very, very long time from here. Okay, my gold trade is slowly selling off. We have an hour, 40 minutes left until the 4-hour candle closes. And yeah, so let's just see what you guys are saying. Do you believe in the 4-year cycle? I did, but I think I also know that the cycles do, just for all the types of markets, the cycles generally do kind of get longer the more money that's involved, right? The more money that's involved, the longer usually things take. Now, I will say, since there's more money, and I believe the manipulation they don't care about, things might actually start turning around slowly. Like, I don't explain, like, okay, when we look at gold, right? Gold, it took, okay, well, I'm not gonna use the 80s as an example. I mean, we can, right? But we can see, right? Gold pumped to 720 in the 80s, and it took practically breaking out until 2007 for it to find some type of value, right? It broke from 2007 practically. It went back down, and then, like, let's just say 2009 until 2012, it had a huge pump. Then from, like, let's say 2013 all the way until 2020, you know, back to equal highs, and then consolidation for years before it finally broke out. I don't know, actually, because it's kind of like a paradox. It's kind of like a contradiction, but it's hard for me to say. And in a way, things do take longer, but for some aspects, they just don't care. Like, in a way, they don't care. I think when it comes to creating new all-time highs, the amount, you know, things should be pumping, they're going to be pumping extra hard and dumping extra fast. But when it comes to the actual slow consolidation part where you go sideways, 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 I think that's going to take a little bit longer, generally speaking. But I still believe in the initial cycle, right? Of, let's just say, the pump, the dump, like the dump / accumulation, then going from the accumulation to slow recoveries, doing what you have to do, blah, 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 to eventually, obviously, you know, new pumps and then dumps again, right? Overall, generally speaking, that is the cycle. What exchanges are you using to do your trades? I'm not using any exchange right now in terms of actual trading. I just trade with a prop firm as we speak. I just trade, but I will be probably using some of the big boys when it comes to leverage trading for shorts in the future. Because, or I'll still be using my funded accounts, or both, actually. I'll probably be doing both. Because, just opportunity, right? What's the reason for this dump? I don't know. I think the markets just want to correct the gap ultimately. I mean, we're still in bullish structure. Even if we go back, even if we went back to fill the gap, we're still in bullish structure. It's just annoying because it's going to take longer, right? Everything's going to just take longer, but we're still bullish. Indicator still shows we're bullish too, right? The indicator is more for you guys than me necessarily, but an extra confirmation tool doesn't, you know, hurt, right? We go to the daily. Like the daily, we've been bullish. We flipped since mid-April. But we already, like I said, we talked about it flipping already, you know, early to mid-April. And then if you're talking about the weekly, right? The weekly, there's zero indication of us reversing it. 0, 0. In terms of fundamentals, 0. But in terms of short term, the gap may be annoying. Every dump, the rich get richer, so that's your reason. Just well, like I said, it's gap. I think it's accumulation ultimately just to burst out. You know, it does suck that we're not following global liquidity as good as we used to, which is a little annoying, because if it does start really, you know, if it does start not being intact with global liquidity, with the delay and everything, then that's just one less tool we can rely on. Ultimately, you know, I still have been relying mainly on technical analysis, right? Like when I called the reversals down here, it had nothing to do with global liquidity, but more with just knowing how the candle actually closed and how manipulation works. Look, guys, the truth is, even if by the end of June we close somewhere around this price, right? This is still a great 3-month candle. It is, because it did its job, right? It swept the last 3-month candle, and it held its structure, and it's just more bullish confirmation. Like it's doing its job, basically. And then like I said, I would expect July, August, and September to be very big pumps. Now, here's the thing with June. June can still kind of pump a little, like it can still expand, right? It going to 120K is not impossible, but the main big pumps, just in terms of pure technical analysis, I would expect it to be July, August, and September. But yeah. Four-year cycle has not been invalidated, so it still stands. With that said, I do not see it being as relevant in the future. Reason is profit taking. Turbo seems kind of weak. We'll look at Turbo in a second. The more political stuff gets involved, the more crypto market won't make sense, I believe. Yeah, things are definitely going to change. The more politics, the more political, the more news is involved, the more mainstream it is. It's definitely going to be, you know, more manipulated and such, but it's probably going to be still for the better ultimately. I mean, we see how stocks are, we see how the S&P 500 is. You know, these guys are just going to want to milk it. You have to remember, Bitcoin is at what, 2 trillion market cap, right? 2.16 trillion. I'm going to search up what is the market cap for gold. So gold, as of right now, is, I believe, a solid 18 trillion. But it was $18 trillion. So this is a little bit off. But if you were to practically 9 times, right? Okay, let's just do 8 times. Let's just be generous, right? Let's just be generous. We're going to be a little bit generous. We're going to undersell ourselves. Practically, if you wanted to match Bitcoin's price and its market cap to gold, it's an 8x from here. And it's still technically more, but it's an 8x from here. So an 8x would what? Put us practically almost at 900K mark, or 900K, right? And that's still undervaluing it. So you have to realize these institutions, the countries, leaders, banks, big investors, they realize, right? They realize, ladies and gentlemen, that there's so much room and potential to be pumping Bitcoin, to be pumping even altcoins, right? Where there's any place to make money is where they're going to want to put their money in, right? You got to remember, Bitcoin and crypto still are very, very, like they're in the early stages. people just think it's not that early, maybe because of the price tag of 108,000. But it's like, no, when you compare it to gold, right? If we were to go to 1-for-1 with value with gold, we would be like over 900,000, right? Would be closer actually to $1 million, right? If we were to go for the market cap of the stocks, right? The total market cap of the stock market, you know, obviously it's a little bit different, but it peaked at 180 trillion market cap. So the stock market is ultimately roughly like what, 60 times smaller than, sorry, the crypto market's 60 times smaller than the stock market. So there's so much room for growth here, so much room for manipulation. And I believe the countries and investors and banks are realizing that. 50 years from now, when 1 million is worth 50K in today's value. Yeah. I think they're just gonna probably repeat the cycle of big bubble, big crash, and then slowly, like, you know, things start correcting itself, and then again, slowly they start going up. And it's like between that big, like after that big crash practically, and let's just say upwards of like 7-8 years, that's where you're gonna have like prices be more normal, steady, right? Already like that 7-8 year mark, you're gonna see like inflation start being annoying and, you know, everything. But that's really when you're gonna see like prices at be the best. Because what, the last big crash we had was like in 2008. I mean, I guess you could say 2020, but 2020 was a little bit different. But we haven't actually had like a true reset since 2008, right? So it's been like, it's not 20 years necessarily, but we're not that far from 20 years. So a big reset, you know, them just pumping things up and then just resetting it and everything just kind of is chill for another like 10 years. Like, I would not put it past them to do that, because they don't want to lose power. You got to remember this. They don't want to lose power. They could back up money with gold again. It would solve practically a lot of issues, not all the issues. But then, you know how it is. Let's see. See what you guys are saying. What's your take on Elliott wave theory? I don't really use that at all. In fact, I don't even think I really understand it, because I have never actually really looked at it. Awesome, thank you. May start a shitty too, but finish strong. Hopefully the same for June. Yeah, I still think overall, based off just structure and everything, we are going to finish strong. If we do finish weak, like if June somehow ends up, like, let's say closing back, like, I mean closing around, let's say 95K to 92, that would be multiple months of rejection, and that actually would be concerning, right? If we kind of created a candle literally like this three-month type of candle, or not even as bad, but even if it was filled up a little bit more, like even if this candle was filled up a little bit more, an extra couple of thousand, right? Even an extra couple of thousand, right? Just pretend it was like filled up a little bit more. That would still be concerning, because we would have these highs, we would have these lower highs created. Now, obviously, this 3-month candle is a very aggressive rejection, which you can see why 3 months later, price is just barely holding on, and then 3 months after that, it just died. All right, so that's like the only thing. So we want June to close strong, you know, anywhere above the higher the better. You know, at the end of the day, like 105K and above, we would be like looking really, really good for a 3-month close. We are still back in time. As long as wars are happening, gold will only rise, because for years it's the safe net with good value. That's true. That's true. I do think Bitcoin will eventually get that narrative, right? I do think Bitcoin will eventually get that narrative too, because people already say Bitcoin is the digital gold, right? And once, you got to remember, all it takes is practically like America or the elites or whatever you believe in saying, no, Bitcoin is the digital gold. Bitcoin is the digital safe haven. And that's it. And that's the new rule. And the only difference between that being, viewed the same way in society and not being viewed is because the elites ultimately said, no, this is the safe haven, right? That's the only difference. Because people have seen the value of Bitcoin years ago. We're talking about even pre-2017, people saw value, right? Now, whether you think they fluked out with the narrative, you could debate that, but people have been seeing value in Bitcoin from the longest time. And obviously in the beginning, stuff was probably used for more shady stuff, scammy stuff, whatever. But there's been people that have seen the vision for over 10 years now, that have seen the vision before the 2017 cycle, during the 2017 cycle. They saw it, in the accumulation and the low dips, they saw the vision. Then obviously we had the 2020 pumps, 2021 pumps. They still saw the vision. And even when things dumped back in 2022 and, started to recover slowly in 2023, they still had this vision at the end of the day, right? And they're still going to have the same vision, right? No matter how this cycle ends up, right? Whether we go to 120, 130, 140, let's say even we go to 200K, right? It does not matter. And then let's say we do have a big crash, dump, whatever happens. People will still have the same vision. They'll still be saying the same thing. Years will go by, and then eventually we probably will just be kind of, continuing the cycle. And then when obviously the whole world says, okay, Bitcoin thumbs up, your average person is going to start thinking Bitcoin thumbs up. I was in Poland last year, and we just, for fun asked about cryptocurrency, and they're like, oh no, crypto this, crypto that. If I came and I asked them now, which was practically a year later, a year and a little bit later, they actually might say a different thing. They actually might say, oh yeah, soon you'll be able to get crypto, or soon you'll be able to do this or do that. Now, obviously, I'm not saying they will 100%. I also don't know Poland's stance on crypto necessarily. I know in general, the leader that won recently, they are more like a Trump type of mindset and person, right? Poland first, legal immigration, more conservative, Christian and stuff. So it would not surprise me if they kind of also just went the same route, kind of like the way America does with, crypto, and be like, you know what, we will buy some crypto. I would love to see Poland to buy crypto, to be honest, because Poland has been actually climbing up the ranks slowly and kind of going unnoticed in a way, but they have been actually just climbing and climbing. And I think if they actually did get a good amount of crypto, that would be ultimately good for Poland. But like I said, I don't really keep up with the Polish news or anything. I don't, the only type of news I do keep up is, I guess, the crypto news. I should probably search it up right now. Has Poland bought any crypto or Bitcoin? Let's see. No, the National Bank of Poland has not bought Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency, and has stated it won't under any circumstance. Well, that's the thing. Everyone says they won't until they realize, wow, people are making so much money. Wow, America, China, Russia, some of the big European countries are going to be saying, oh no, we're going to be buying it. They're going to follow. There's no way. In February 2025, would never hold Bitcoin in its reserves, citing volatility and lack of absolutely secure traits. Poland prefers gold and traditional currencies. Yeah, gold is always going to be gold, but if you want that quicker return, I do think it's worth the I mean, obviously I'm in crypto and stuff, but like ultimately, if I was looking at this as a country, Bitcoin has higher gain potential than gold. So I think, putting a chunk of the money would be worth it. Some leaders are crypto friendly though. Poland reserves remain traditional, mostly in gold, euro, and dollars. No crypto on the books of Poland's central bank or government. Potential future change might come if pro-crypto voices like Mentes or President Nowinski turn the policy, but so far it's just talk. Interesting. Interesting, interesting. So yeah. I remember when Bitcoin was somewhere over here, I'm pretty sure. And I forgot, it was not Malaysia. Was it Thailand? It was like a third world country that bought a lot of Bitcoin. Actually, it could have been the El Salvador. It actually could have been the El Salvador. I think it was El Salvador when El Salvador bought Bitcoin here. And people were like, oh, guys, gonna go up. But guess what? 2 months later, it absolutely died. Because the markets don't care that El Salvador does this or this country does that. The markets still have to cycle out, you know? I mean, yeah, we could look at this. Where we could look at this. The debt limit is not resolved. It could trigger the biggest financial crisis since 2008, right? US national debt chart. I want you guys to think about it, right? Bitcoin. Okay, these banks print money. Inflation, right? Debt goes up. What's a great place to put your money? What's like, imagine this, right? Okay, now think about this, right? Now that's a nice looking chart. That is a nice looking chart. All right, if Bitcoin did something similar, right? If it like even went from like the 8 trillion to 36 trillion, like that's like what, a 4x, right? If Bitcoin is 4x, that'd be great. No, but think about this, guys, right? America has the opportunity to practically pump a lot of money in, a ridiculous amount, right? A ridiculous amount of money into Bitcoin. Bitcoin, there's only 21 million. I know that they're not all out yet, but let's just use it. Let's use simple, you know, just keep it simple, right? They can buy up so much. They could print so much money. They could buy a lot of Bitcoin, and then they could crash their economy. But it doesn't matter because a lot of the money went into Bitcoin. And then now they have an inflation reset for a couple of years, right? They have an inflation reset type of scenario for many, many years. And they still profited from this whole thing where they just pump. Money goes in, goes into Bitcoin, right? That's why I said, like, you can't necessarily inflate Bitcoin as in produce more, but you can inflate its price in a way because, you know, a country just says, you know what, we need to crash these markets. We're like, you know, we need to just have a reset, right? And then boom, right? What do? Just print. Let's buy something that, you know, has only a limited supply. Go. And then boom, their economy crashes. A lot of people suffer. They don't really care. It does create that short-term solution for those many, many years, right? It creates a short-term solution for many, many years. And then, you know, they're profiting off of Bitcoin. They're chilling for a couple of years, and then the cycle continues, right? The cycle continues. Inflation this, politics this president said this, rate cut this. And until they actually change their system, until they actually change how, you know, the monetary system works, the same cycle is just going to repeat over and over and over again. Right? And that's it. And Bitcoin is their, you know, is their way out. It is their way out. It is their way to make a lot of money. So yeah. And I've talked about this like already in late 2023, 2024. It just makes the most sense. It just makes the most sense. Hey Sniper, how are you doing? I like your content very much. You deserve a medal. I'm in Turbo since February. of 2023. You know, let's look at Turbo for a second. We can start looking at altcoins slowly. We have been streaming for about an hour. Right, we've been mainly talking about Bitcoin and a few other things, but let's look at Turbo. February of 2023. Damn, brother, you... Wait, February? Oh, 2024. I was gonna say, I was like... Damn. Brother, you have been in this. Let's remove this indicator. You have been in this practically... Right, if we just take the whole February. Unless you could have even actually technically bought up here for February. But if you have been... February 15th of 20... Damn, so you're like right here. You're right here. Now you can't even see the green box when you zoom out. It's like at one point technically you're up 38 times your money. That's great. Did you cash any out or did you just kind of hold on? Are you kind of doing like what I'm doing, like the A to Z plan, where you're just gonna cash out during altcoin season? Thank you guys for the likes. Thank you for absolutely everything. What is this? I'm gonna click. He had $5 in. Now it's $150. I mean, yeah, some people just put a couple dollars. Okay, I'm gonna click this button. Show your support for the trading sniper. What is this? Oh, is this like a... Oh, I could send myself $5. Oh, that's so funny. That is so funny. It's a super chat. I can send myself my own super chat. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. You guys probably noticed I also have been trying, you know, different titles out a little bit. I've been actually uploading more frequently. I probably will go back to 3 uploads a day while I am in Austin for the vacation. I will have some pre-recorded videos, ones that are kind of global and general to everybody, right? We're gonna have some final price predictions for some coins. We'll have some types of videos that also are like, you know, the most underrated meme coins, the best altcoins to be buying, it's tier list type videos, probably like one video, maybe 1 or 2 videos that talk about, again, in depth for altcoins, right? Like a big altcoin update, a big market update that, you know, that should be valid at least for a week or 2. I probably will try to stream, but streams are going to be more like a quick chat, quick update type of thing, not necessarily looking at too many charts unless something really big is happening, right? We're going to be only streaming probably 15 to 20 minutes. It's not going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern. In fact, it's probably going to be more of a morning type stream, because yeah, I'm going for the vacation. I'm going for the convention, and I really think I have to be at the convention around 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. and I'm going to be waking up. I'm going to go. So I've been a little bit lazy with the gym recently. In fact, I've been eating a little bit bad recently again, but I need to clean up my act. I want to be going to the gym consistently. I need to be, you know, making the videos. Then we could stream for like 15-20 minutes. I don't know how the connection is going to be at the hotel. Should be solid enough for a decent stream, but we will, you know, we will have to see. We'll have to see. I put in 400 euros and took out 1200. I left the rest, but afterwards I added 100% of my share. Enjoy yourself. We are here and we stay strong. You don't worry. I know. I still like to now I'm still gonna want to be uploading a little bit, right? The live streams might be tricky, they might be iffy. We'll have to see. Right? We'll have to see how the live streams are going to go. And but yeah, just a quick chat with you guys, even for 15 minutes. I also will be opening, so I'm gonna change some stuff in the Discord. Those that are gonna be, you know, paying, obviously are still gonna get like premium features. In fact, it's gonna be pack-a-punched. I am going to be adding like 2 very key features for these people that do pay. So it's also just more worth it. But like, where I am gonna make the Discord open, because technically there is a public section that is just called Turbo. Like there's a Turbo public section, but I think I'm gonna just change it to general. I think I'm gonna just change it to like a general chat, and then I'm gonna just have to like resend the link in the videos again. You know, so because I do want to have a bigger Discord with you guys in. That's gonna be, obviously, like I said, it's gonna be a mix of people that, you know, pay and don't pay. But you know, even the one that's gonna be free is just more for communication. It's just more for, you know, just seeing how people are doing, just so like you guys can talk between each other too. And yeah, because I think that's just gonna be a better idea. I don't really want like the snipers to be divided. Or I don't really want snipers to be divided. I want to grow the community. And then that update's gonna happen soon. It's gonna happen before I leave. Like I said, the people that pay, they're gonna get pack punched for their, you know, for the package they have. And then yeah, that's ultimately it. I did find some gems. I actually found a couple of gems that I'm going to be sharing to them and stuff. I still have to double check some things, but yeah, right now, ultimately, like this week, I still believe we are bullish. Like this week is going to be a good time to dollar cost average. I know some people are kind of tired of dollar cost averaging, or they don't have money, or you know, they don't want to over leverage, but we'll see. Bitcoin dominance, Doji candle, it did sweep the last relevant monthly candle before, obviously, you know, these huge 2 candles. So we will see. Now we'll see how things work out. Now last time, you know, everything started to reverse. It was clear as day. We had like the classic manipulation candle, right? Classic manipulation candle, bank candle. We are technically tapped into it, and we don't have to create a higher high necessarily, right? If we do start crashing aggressively, this could be the start of altcoin season sooner than later. But yeah, we'll just have to see how things work out. Can't wait until ETH explodes. It makes new all-time high. I think Turbo will melt the faces. Yeah, I think so too. Tars AI. Let's see. 100 million market cap, 11 cents, 10 million volume. I don't really know anything about this coin. I would have to do research because it did just have a big rally from 18 million market cap to 100 million. It did have an all-time high of 300 million market cap. So I'll look into it. I know a lot of people. I haven't really heard this one. Let's see a polka dot. Let's see. Actually, we can look at this together. I'm gonna end the stream soon, guys. I'm gonna end the stream soon. I might buy this coin. I do think Trump's coin will do great actually this cycle. Genuinely. All right, what did it peak at? Didn't it peak like at $70? I do think it's gonna create all-time highs, or new all-time highs. I think if I could get it like under $10, I'm gonna do it. That was like a quick like 5 times money I made in just a couple of days. I remember it was a great time. See price. I remember warning people. I was like, bro. Yeah. I remember this. I was warning people. Huge rally. Yeah, I saw this and I was like, careful, and then bam, it exploded. The whole market exploded. Is this when everything dumped? Nah. But I remember this time. Crazy. That was roughly 6 months ago. So yeah, let's see how my gold trade is doing. Oh, we're up a little bit, but 30-minute candle, lower high. That's good. I'm actually not a big fan of the 1 minute, but actually, no. 30-minute candle close. There's still a gap. I do want to see gold for me. I know you guys don't really care about gold, but I do trade. Trading is like my main thing. Like I'm like, sometimes I get really addicted. I just like, you know, but I do want to see a nice 4-hour close. Close very, very weak. I do believe then the next 4-hour close is going to be a little bit at the bare minimum a sell-off. But we have to see. Oh, the hell is this? The hell did I just pull up a rectangle? Right. At the minimum, it should probably go to like $40 if I am wrong. I'm going to put it at break even soon. Okay, for gold, I need that rectangle back. I do believe that ultimately, oh, what the hell? Why does this thing flip when you do that? What's the point of it? Okay, I do ultimately believe that we are, you know, retesting off of these zones to then go lower for correction. I personally believe so. But there are, I was more confident last week because there was a huge wick. Like, there was such a huge rejection. There's such a huge buy rejection. All right, but sometimes I know gold flips. Like if we go look at gold last week, it probably dumped at the very end. Yeah, the Thursday and Friday were the dump. Thursday was okay. Yeah, Wednesday sold off a little bit. Thursday was the main dump. I mean, Tuesday already kind of rejected here. Let's see when. Yeah, look, Thursday and Friday was the main dump. So I know sometimes it's the Thursday and Friday that are like a big dump to the downside. You just have to look for that confirmation. And last week, I was so upset with myself. I saw how this closed over here, how this 4-hour closed. And I was like, this thing is going to just continue going down. All right. So I waited for a pullback and I didn't take it. And I was so upset because I just missed out on like the freest money. But then I used that fuel to win a few more trades. And I was like, you know what? It's okay. I forgive myself. And then yesterday on stream, we were talking about, you know, Bitcoin. I was in a Bitcoin trade, very, very short term. My trade was good night for me. Have a great day, everybody. Yep. I'll see you around, man. I'll see you around. We are going to end the stream probably right after this, to be honest. I do have to shower, still pick up my dog. And then, yeah. But I did have a trade like this. And it could have cashed out for hypothetically more. In the end, I cashed out for like a 1 to 2.5. So it was good. I did do an oopsie of a trade a little bit prematurely for Wednesday. Nah. I took a GBP loss. Sorry, I took a GBP loss because I had a limit order. I had a limit order that I forgot about. So yeah, unfortunately for me, you know, even though I won 2.5 times my money since I forgot about this limit order, it's like I won 1.5 times my money instead of 2.5 because I did blunder. I did forget about this limit order. All right. I think that is it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see. I think that is it. We will definitely be streaming tomorrow. I think tomorrow I want to do the YouTuber hunt tier list type video or type stream, right? We might start around 6:30 and go up until 8:30. We're gonna look and hunt for the, we're gonna see which YouTubers and crypto YouTubers and everything are worth trust, like, who's trustworthy, who actually knows what the hell they're talking about. Are they just, trying to convince you to buy any single coin? What are they doing? Like I said, there's nothing wrong with a sponsored video. I'm not opposed to ever getting paid by a coin that is, I believe, is genuinely good, genuinely proven, especially if they have previous projects and stuff. I'm not opposed to that, but some people just take them like 24/7. So obviously at that point, they're just here for the bag, which, people like you guys get screwed over. Supoman, is that his name? I'm gonna look at him quickly on the side. Obviously, we're gonna go through crypto experts destroy. Let's see, 156,000. 156,000. He does a video once every week or something. I see. You do live streams? Not really. Damn. But yeah. So we'll obviously see. We'll obviously see. We'll go through a lot of people. We're not gonna go like super in depth about like every single thing we do. So obviously the tier list is gonna have to be taken with a grain of salt, right? Because we're not gonna go through every single video. I can usually tell right away who's BSing. There's this one streamer like 2 or 3 days ago. It just recommended on my feed, and I just clicked on it. I saw his analysis, how he was marking things up and how he explained things within like 10 seconds. I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy, he is definitely not like bad or anything. So yeah. But yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. So tomorrow will be the stream. We hunt for who is bad, who is good. He does stream. Well, I didn't see on his YouTube. Maybe he streams on Twitch. I'm gonna start actually doing I'm gonna be streaming on multiple platforms. I'm gonna be streaming on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. Now, I don't really think Twitch and Kick are gonna have necessarily a lot of, or even any viewers at the start, but it's just even just to put myself out there, right? Right, it's not Superman is good. He talks about a huge variety of different coins. So there's different cryptos all the time instead of just talking about 10 or so over and over again. I see. Yeah, I know. I fall under that category more about talking about the same ones because that's kind of what my audience is built up on and stuff. But I am slowly starting to expand because you guys probably noticed I've been uploading more videos consistently. So, but like I said, things will definitely slow down once I'm on vacation. But yeah, we'll see. Trying to reach out to other audiences, trying to look at more of the look at other coins. And yeah, I'm an effing legend for making 100 million, losing in a matter of weeks. I don't care what anyone says. I'm proud. Badge of honor. Another story. Wait, this is the guy lost $100 million. I'm an effing legend for making 100 million, losing in a matter of weeks. I don't care what anyone says. I'm proud. Badge of honor. Another story. It's completely finished my mindset. I know now how cabals. I am to make $1 billion, and that's my goal this cycle. 1 billion united, and real ones know what I did was one of the sickest things ever to be done in crypto. Fact. Multiple major influencers have reached out, giving me props for making 100 million, fighting the market makers. Brokies will laugh, blah, blah, blah. You mean nothing? It's out of our reach, out of our capabilities. I made headline news around the world. Eric Trump follows me. I now talk to Tate Brothers, CEOs of major exchanges, brand deals left, right, center coming my way. Best thing has ever happened to me was the liquidation. Only a free mind can understand this. Don't let money have power over you. Let it be like water. I live life of abundance. I manifest everything I had into reality. Hope this inspires. Yeah, people are gonna clown him and stuff. People are still gonna clown him. At the end of the day, he still had the opportunity to make 100 million, or risk 100 million. Like I said, I could have warned him about this, but you know, I'm just a little nobody. I have like 400 followers on Twitter. Like I said, we talked about the liquidation downside movement, so don't make mistake what I'm saying, man. You're pretty good too. Thank you. I rather follow people who are more focused. Personally, things can get too diluted. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. We're gonna do we're gonna see how the markets are quickly, and then we're gonna do the YouTuber hunt list. And yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy this stream. We will be pack a punching the stream starting July. When I do come back, I do actually have some plans for certain types of streams, how to improve content, sometimes having it more organized, sometimes having it more loose. Maybe we'll start doing also a morning stream and a night stream. I do enjoy streaming. I do enjoy reaching out to you guys. Ultimately, you know, at the end of the day, if I could have a fan base, or you know, just even become a streamer of 100, 200, 300, 500, 1,000 views eventually, right? Always have that mindset of, you know, achieving more. Then obviously that is going to be a goal, because I do believe, you know, streaming content creation is super fun, right? Super fun. My number one thing and passion is still trading, but don't get me wrong, communicating with the audience, you know, obviously even just from a like just even logically from a financial standpoint, imagine like you can just stream and make money to, you know, and it's not about the money, but it's, people don't realize how lucky they are. Like I know a lot of people obviously earn their spots, whether it's financial YouTubers, gaming, you know, whatever type of entertainment they do. But think about it, like you put on a stream, people come join you, you get paid from ads, donations, whatever. And that's just like the most insane thing ever. Obviously, I'm not in it for the money. I mean, I have like what, 17 viewers right now. I'm not asking for donations or anything. That's not the point. But you get it. Like in general, the objective thing about streaming is it's crazy to think about how crazy streaming truly is and what it can do for people, right? For me, it's always just fun to bounce off the comments, to interact with you guys. So yeah, ultimately the goal at the end of the day is to create a larger audience on YouTube, a larger streaming audience, and you know, just elevate things to a whole new level, because yeah, I love doing it. Like Jason Casper. Who's Jason Casper? Oh, does he just stream? Is he a streamer? Let's see. Well, yeah, it looks like he just, what about videos? Doesn't really do too many videos, just does more live streams. I mean, yeah. Looks like he just streams like every day. Right. Yeah, like this is really cool. The concept is cool. You know, even, I mean, even just eventually, I mean, I have so many plans. Obviously, theory can only get you so far, and we have to see how things unfold. But my ultimate dream is practically, you know, I want to be a better version of myself. So obviously, you know, I want to pack a punch there, especially in terms of health, weight, and etc. But like, imagine just waking up, doing your morning routine, trading, making content, going to the gym, right? You do those things, then maybe you do a stream, maybe you do some stuff, then maybe you do another stream. I don't know, just like right now I am more like an introverted person. Obviously I know when like altcoin seasons finish and stuff, and I keep elevating my career in terms of trading and everything else, I am going to be wanting to be more outside. I do actually love the outside, but like even if the next, you know, few short years I had to sacrifice by just kind of putting my head down, grinding videos, live stream, just increasing my trading, you know, abilities, increasing my trading account, you know, like I said, growing the channel, businesses, everything else, and like I'm all for that. I'm all for that adventure. I love the adventure. I love the journey. Right. But yeah, this is officially it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy. I'll talk to you guys next time. We did it around an hour and a half. And yeah, tomorrow's we're gonna be hunting down the YouTubers who are scamming, who are not so ideal, and who honestly don't probably belong in this crypto space. I mean, everyone does, because free will, and I'm not, against taking anyone's rights, but gotta be careful, man. You listen to one wrong person and you could lose a lot of money. But yeah, that is, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys did enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll talk to you guys next time.